11:45 p. My phone lit up the dark room with a single vibration. No, RINGTONE. No warning. Just light. Forwarded bill filled the screen. Zenith Lounge. Total. $15,000. The number stared back at me like an accusation. Bright. Heavy. Unapologetic. Underneath. It was a message from my mother, Sandra. Just put this on your card. It's the least you can do after ruining the mood with that cheap dress. I didn't blink. A second later, another notification appeared. A heart emoji from my sister, Tiffany. I sat there in the quiet hum of my home office, surrounded by softly glowing monitors, global market graphs, acquisition timelines, hotel performance dashboards scrolling in silence. I didn't cry, I didn't scream. I didn't throw my phone, I just stared at the screen because in that moment, it finally became clear. They didn't see me as family. They saw me as a function. An account. Backup plan. A private ATM. That didn't get opinions. They thought my silence meant permission. But silence isn't agreement. Sometimes. It's just the quiet before execution. I didn't reply. I didn't send an angry. I didn't defend myself. I didn't explain. Instead, I opened my laptop. The screen came alive, casting a cool blue light over my hands. To my family, these hands were ordinary, useful only for shelving books at the public library. Or refilling wine glasses for my father's business partners. They had no idea these same hands controlled a boutique hotel empire across 3 continents. I bypassed my work email and logged directly into my private investment backend. 2-factor authentication, retinal scan, access granted. The dashboard loaded smoothly. I scrolled past tech equities, past offshore, real estate holdings. Past hospitality portfolios, until I reached a folder buried deep in the archives. Plain label. No decoration, family debt consolidation. I clicked. The truth opened. It wasn't a file. It was a graveyard. There were receipts from my father's gambling debts. 2018. Bought quietly for pennies from loan sharks who had been days away from breaking his legs. There were my mother's credit card statements, designer handbags, private stylists, impulsive luxury rolled into a low-interest loan I personally structured. There was Tiffany's luxury condo lease, paid through a shell company I owned, registered under a name they'd never recognize. For years I had been the invisible architect of their survival. Catching them before they hit the ground. Again. And again. And again. Every time they fell, I was already underneath, absorbing the impact, quietly fixing what they broke, erasing consequences before they ever arrived, and staring at those numbers that night. I finally asked myself the question I'd been avoiding for over a decade. Why? The answer wasn't love. It was something far more dangerous. When you grow up in a house where affection is scarce, you learn early that love isn't given, it's earned. You start believing care is transactional. You tell yourself, if I pay enough,
If
I endure enough, if I fix enough messes, then maybe one day they'll look at me and see a daughter instead of a tool. You build your own prison. Brick by brick. And call it loyalty. You think you're being a good daughter, but really, you're a hostage paying your own ransom, hoping your captors might eventually decide to love you. That night, staring at a $15,000 dinner bill, something inside me finally snapped. There was no ceiling. The ransom had no limit. I could buy them the moon, and they'd complain it was too bright. My compassion hadn't been a gift. It had been a subscription. They'd overdrafted for years. And tonight, that subscription expired. I navigated to the submenu labeled housing allowance. Jeffrey and Sandra status glowed green. Active. Auto renew. On. My finger hovered over the trackpad. I wasn't shaking. I wasn't angry. This wasn't revenge. This was accounting. A correction of a long-standing market error. I clicked cancel. The screen flashed. Are you sure? I clicked confirm. The status bar turned red. Terminated. Next credit cards. Terminated. Next Tiffany's luxury car lease. Terminated. One by one. I turned off the lights in their financial lives. It took less than 3 minutes. 3 minutes to dismantle a safety net I had spent 6 years weaving. When I was finished, a final number appeared on the screen. Total balance due. $5.2 million. That was what they owed me, and that was what I was going to collect. I closed the laptop. The room fell silent again. I turned toward the bedroom, where the dim outline of Caleb lay asleep. He shifted slightly, reaching out toward the empty space beside him. He was the only one who knew. He knew I wasn't weak. He knew I wasn't a librarian. He knew that beneath the quiet cardigans and practiced silence, I was a shark, months ago. He had begged me to stop funding them. He'd warned me they would never change. I hadn't listened, because I was still wearing the invisible chain. But I wasn't wearing it anymore. I slid into bed. My heart beat slow. Steady. No. Guilt. No fear. Only the sharp clarity of the morning to come. They wanted a reaction. They were going to get a foreclosure. 7 a.m. The sun hadn't fully risen over the Los Angeles skyline when the assault began. My phone vibrated violently against the marble countertop of the kitchen island. Not a gentle buzz. Not a polite notification. An attack. I glanced down. 17 missed calls, 42 text messages, and before I could finish counting, the phone started ringing again. Sandra. I answered and placed it on speaker, turning my attention back to the coffee machine. I didn't say hello. I didn't need to. You ungrateful, spiteful little brat. Her voice exploded through the speaker so loud it distorted. Do you have any idea what you've done? I poured the coffee slowly, carefully. Good morning, Mother, I said calmly. I assumed the bill wasn't settled to your satisfaction. Settled? She screeched. Settled. The card was declined. Declined. In front of the entire staff. Bryce was there. We tried your father's platinum card and the machine literally rejected it. I took a sip. Dark roast. Perfect. The manager came over. She continued, spiraling. He looked at us like criminals. Do you know what it feels like to have a waiter pity you? Yes, I knew exactly what it felt like. I felt it every time. I showed up to their charity galas in thrift store dresses. Every time they introduced me as the quiet one. Every time. Tiffany soaked up attention while I stood off to the side. Useful. Invisible, forgettable. That sounds like a cash flow problem, I said evenly. Perhaps you should have checked your balance before ordering the $12,000 vintage. Don't you dare lecture me about money. She screamed. You cut us off. I know you did, yes. A pause, sharp, sudden. I tried to use the emergency fund for the Uber home. She continued, panic bleeding into her voice. And it was gone. You stranded us there. Bryce had to call his mother to Venmo him cab money. Bryce. Her precious influencer boyfriend. Do you know how humiliating that is? She demanded. He knows people, Mina. If this gets out, if anyone finds out we couldn't pay a dinner bill, we're ruined. There it was. Not why are you doing this? Not are you okay? Not we miss you, just fear of exposure. Fix this, she ordered. Transfer the money right now and apologize to Tiffany. She's been crying all night. You ruined her networking opportunity. I hung up. I didn't block her. Blocking would have been emotional. I needed data. I opened Instagram. And there it was. Tiffany's story posted 3 hours earlier. A black screen. Tiny white text. Sad acoustic music playing softly in the background. It's crazy how the people closest to you are the ones who want to see you fail. Some people can't handle your shine, so they try to cut your power. Jealousy is a disease. Get well soon, sis. Hashtags followed. Hashtag toxic family hash rising above hash haters gonna hate. I exhaled a short, quiet laugh. The gaslighting was almost impressive. She had reframed my refusal to be robbed as jealousy. In her mind, my entire existence revolved around envying her selfies. Then, my phone vibrated again. A voicemail from my father, Jeffrey. I pressed play. His voice was thick, slurred. He'd been drinking. Mina, he growled. You listen to me. I know who put you up to this. It's that husband of yours. That substitute teacher nobody. I felt nothing. He's in your ear, filling your head with ideas, he continued. That man is a parasite. A leech. He sees a little money in your account and he wants it for himself. I looked across the kitchen. Caleb sat at the table, reading a tech journal on his tablet. My father kept talking. You're letting a stranger destroy your bloodline, he spat. You fix this. Or, I swear to God I will come down there and remind you who made you. I ended the voicemail. Caleb looked up, meeting my eyes. He didn't look angry, just tired. He wasn't a substitute teacher. He was the founder of a learning platform valued at $900 million. He had anonymously purchased my father's gambling debts 3 times just to keep my childhood home from being firebombed by bookies. He was the only reason. They still had a roof over their heads, and they called him a leech. They're not mad they lost the money, Caleb said quietly. They're mad they lost control. He was right. For years, my family had operated on a simple rule. I was the resource. They were the management. Resources don't have boundaries. Resources don't say no. Resources don't turn off the tap. But I wasn't a resource anymore. I was the chief executive officer of my own life. And, I had just identified a massive liability. I deleted the voicemail. I didn't respond to the texts. I didn't engage with the Instagram drama. To them, this was an emotional war. They wanted me loud, defensive, reactive. I wasn't going to fight. I was going to liquidate. I stood, smoothing down my blazer. Are you ready? Caleb asked. No, I replied, grabbing my keys. I'm overdue. I didn't block their numbers. Blocking would have been a reaction. Instead, I silenced notifications. And drove. I passed the public library on 4th Street, the place my family believed I worked for 5 years. I'd let them think. I spent my days stamping due dates and organizing the Dewey Decimal System. It was a convenient fiction. It made me harmless. A librarian wasn't a threat. Librarian couldn't fight back. I didn't stop. I drove 3 blocks west toward Glass and Steel. The skyscraper dominated the skyline. I bypassed the visitor parking and slid into a reserved underground space. Private elevator. 40-2 floors. As it rose, I felt the shift happen. My shoulders straightened. The apology drained from my posture. The hesitation vanished. I wasn't Mina the disappointment anymore. I was Mina the majority shareholder. The doors opened directly into the lobby of MV Holdings. Good morning, Miss Vane, the receptionist said with a nod. Elena is waiting in conference room B. Elena wasn't a family lawyer. She didn't hand out tissues or talk about reconciliation. She specialized in hostile takeovers, asset liquidation. She dealt in leverage. Not feelings. The files were already laid out with military precision when I entered. I saw the transaction logs, she said without looking up. You terminated the housing allowance. Aggressive? She asked. Not aggressive enough, I replied, taking the seat at the head of the table. They think this is a tantrum. I need them to understand the bank is closed permanently. Elena slid a document toward me. Then we don't send a letter, she said. We send a notice of debt acceleration. I scanned the paperwork. Every loan, every balance, every lease, family terms. 0 interest. Soft repayment, and 1 clause in the fine print. The lender reserves the right to demand full repayment at any time. Total principal, $5,200,000. If we execute this, Elena said, they have 30 days to pay. If they fail, we move to asset seizure. House. Cars. Wages. I ran my finger over the number. That was the cost of my silence. Do it, I said. Draft it. Elena paused. This is the nuclear option, she warned. Once this goes out, you won't be their daughter anymore. I met her gaze. I haven't been their daughter for years, I said. I've just been their sponsor. My phone buzzed. A text from Caleb. Your dad just left me a voicemail. Threatened to come to my work and get me fired. I felt it then. Not anger. Clarity. They're going after you now, I said. Caleb replied immediately, then dropped the veil. Let them see who we really are. I nodded. They had mistaken humility for weakness. Elena prepared the courier package company letterhead. Corporate seal. I wanted them to see the logo. To understand exactly who they had provoked. Then Elena froze. There's something else, she said quietly. A second mortgage. Taken out 3 years. Earlier. $250,000. Co signed. By me. Only. I'd been in Tokyo that week. The signature was perfect. Forgery. My father had used my identity to fund Tiffany's fantasy. Dubai trips. A G-Wagon. A life built on fraud. If he defaulted, the bank would have come for me. This wasn't just betrayal. It was a felony. I didn't blink. Prepare the police report, I said. But don't file it yet. I need an admission, I added. Public. Irreversible. Elena nodded. And that's when I invited them to dinner. I invited them to dinner at the Zenith Lounge, the same place they'd tried to humiliate me. They arrived exactly on time, overdressed. Confident, smiling like victors walking into a surrender meeting. My mother wore diamonds. She didn't own. My father carried himself like a man who believed consequences were for other people. Tiffany filmed herself in the mirror. Before sitting down, they ordered extravagantly. Again. Caviar. Vintage wine. Wagyu. Desserts they barely touched. They never asked if I was okay. They never apologized. They assumed I would pay. When the check came, it didn't come to me. The waiter placed it in front of Caleb. Mr. Walker, he said politely, whenever you're ready. My mother frowned. Caleb reviewed the paperwork attached to the bill, unbothered and signed. The waiter nodded and walked away. That's when it landed. We owned the building. The restaurant. The land. Beneath it. I slid a folder across the table. No emotion. Just paper. The notice of debt. Acceleration sat on top. $5.2 million. Payable in 30 days. Beneath it, one more document. The forged mortgage application. My father's face drained of color. This signature, I said calmly, is mine. Or at least, it pretends to be. Silence. I leaned forward. I haven't reported it, I continued. Yet. That gives you a choice. Prison. Or poverty. Tiffany's influencer boyfriend stood up immediately and walked out without a word. Status. Evaporates fast when money disappears. My mother cried. My father didn't speak. I stood. Dinner's over, I said. You have 30 days. They defaulted. 30 days passed quietly. No apology. No accountability. Just entitlement. I sent the eviction crew. I watched from across the street as they carried furniture out of the house they once mocked others for not having. They moved into a walk-up they used to laugh at. That's when I understood something important. Their confidence had always been rented, without possessions. There was nothing underneath. We sold the house. Every recovered dollar went into a scholarship fund for first-generation students. We turned greed into opportunity. I deleted the last folder tied to them, closed my laptop. For the first time, the prison door didn't slam. It unlocked. If you've ever had to buy your own freedom from the people who should have given it freely, you're not alone.